So this is the story idea writing tag that I found on Hannah Palmer's YouTube channel, and she got it from Beth, who got it from the creators Beth and By the Brook. Links will be in the description below for you to check out their channels. But yes, on to question 1. What is the current story idea that you're working on? So at the moment it's book 2 of my Dark Array series. I've got the first book coming out next week. I'm working on book 2 because I really need to just get a move on and get book 2 out as soon as possible. I'm a one project sort of person, can only sort of do one thing at a time. Question number 2. Do your ideas start with characters, world building, plot, or something entirely else? Sue, for the post-apocalyptic series, which is the only sort of idea, I suppose, that I can reference, it came from a university assignment that I was writing about 5 years ago. Sparked from there, I suppose I wrote the world first, but at the same time I was also developing the character Shelby, who managed to survive and is also still in the series. So I was kind of doing, I've done the world, but yeah, the character was at the same time ish, I guess. Yeah, well, I started with world building because I had to build the world, then I kind of made the character separate and then plonked the character into the world. But obviously whilst I was making both, I was sort of trying to tie them up a little bit, and then after that I then made the plot with the established character and the established world. Yeah, maybe simultaneously, perhaps. Question number 3. How do you puzzle piece your story together? Start to finish or finish to start? So, well, the first book, Displaced, which set off the series, I done start to finish because I was sort of half discovering the plot as I was writing, and obviously after finishing writing I then went back over it. For book 2, and I guess the overall arc of the series, I've done mainly from start to finish, but I've bounced back and forth because obviously the ending of this series needs to be pretty much set in stone, and then obviously there's major plot points along the way. So for book 2 that I'm writing now, I've planned out each chapter, but I'm going to try and do it chronologically. I think with book 1, actually I did go back to the first prologue and I rewrote that because I was just looking at feedback I was getting, and after I had spent a few weeks or months away from it and read it again, it didn't really add anything to the story, so I ended up rewriting the prologue for that. So it was mainly start to finish and then completely rewriting the first chapter. So question number 4. How do you know when to keep or dump a story? So I haven't dumped any stories yet, but I don't think I would. I mean, even like, because your stories don't start off as, gems, do they? They start off very rough, and the more time you spend working on them and polishing them, the shinier and more crisp that they get. So I would say I probably wouldn't dump stories. I would just keep working on it and evolving the story until I've got something I can work with. Question number 5. How much of your original idea is in your story once you've completed it? So for Displaced and for the Dark Array series, the idea is roughly stayed the same, but as I mentioned in sort of the previous question, is the idea is at its core stayed the same, but there's been a lot of things around the outside that have sort of changed, and there's things in it now that I wouldn't have expected a while back. But it's very important, I believe, to be quite loose with the story. Don't be precious with every bit, because you can always try bits and pieces, and if these bits and pieces don't work and the feedback's not very good, or you're not feeling it, we can just swap it back. If that great idea you thought was amazing and it turns out actually the great idea that you thought was amazing was actually terrible, you can just swap it out for another idea. So I believe it's very important to sort of be quite loose with that. Saying that though, for my post-apocalyptic series, I'd say 60 to 70% at its core is roughly still the same. There's been a reasonable chunk, but nothing too crazy that has changed. But yeah, so most of it survived. Question number 6. Do you share your book ideas with friends or keep it a secret? So I reckon I tend to share, but I only share if I've developed the idea enough to share it. If I just have like a random idea of, I don't know, a conspiracy about hamsters running wind turbines, then I probably won't say it to a friend, because 6 months down the line my friend's going to be like, oh hey, have you written that hamster turbine conspiracy book that you were going to write? And I will obviously answer no. It's not to say it couldn't work. As I said with other questions, if you spend enough time on an idea, you could. You could probably make quite a funny story, or you can possibly make quite a dark story with the idea. Feel free to take that and run with it if you want. But yeah, I feel like unless I've worked on it, the idea, I tend not to share it. Unless it's with a close family or my other half Sarah, in which case I'll share rough ideas with them and just to see, sort of get their vibe and see what they think. Question number 7, have any of your book ideas originated from a dream or a nightmare? Generally speaking, no. Displaced came from a university assignment. I've had one nightmare that I've scribbled down in a notebook somewhere. It's pretty bad, but could work for a story, but generally speaking, not really. Question number 8, have you ever had an idea for a story and then seen a similar premise elsewhere? No, but I'm guessing if I really tried and picked hard enough at programs on the TV or books, I probably could find, you know, if you try to see something, you end up seeing it, if that makes sense. Like if you try to see a pattern, you see a pattern. I don't know if that really makes sense at all, but yeah, I haven't seen anything like it. But even if I did, and there was, you know, something similar to my book Displaced or the series as a whole that I haven't even finished yet, it wouldn't detract from it because I'm writing my ideas. And if anything, if you found something similar, it would be interesting to see how those script writers or producers or authors, how they've approached it and what they've done to make it work, and to see how they do it. That would be quite interesting because they're not going to tell it the same as you. You know, no idea is ever the same. It's, you know, it's written by you. So I feel like if anything, if I found something similar, it'd make it quite interesting. Question number 9, have any of your favourite films or TV series sparked ideas for your book? So initially, no, but really, when you think about it, they're gonna have to. Like I've watched so many films, read books, watched TV shows. There's no way that you're not influenced by it. I wouldn't say they've sparked ideas, but generally when I watch stuff, so I recently watched Afterlife on Netflix, but even like stuff like Game of Thrones and stuff, that's the same sort of thing. If I find that it invokes emotion, the first thing that comes into my head is, how have they done that? Even when I'm enjoying it, I'm like, how have they done this? And I want to look and learn and see how they've done the writing, because I want to do the same. I want to achieve the same in my book. I want to make characters that people care about and invoke the similar sort of emotions. So question number 10, what is the first oldest story idea you remember coming up with and writing down? So, I mean, I found my love of writing like about 5 or 6 years ago when I was studying. Before that point, I didn't really, you know, I got like an average C in GCSEs, you know, it was pretty, it wasn't anything to write home about, and I wasn't really hugely into stories. I think I remember enjoying writing, but there was no sort of idea that I really remember. I have to say that, you know, it has to be Displaced, the book that's coming out soon. That was my first story idea, which is a little bit disconcerting because, you know, people were like, oh, like the first book first, you just got to get the first book out of your system and then you're good to go. So I mean, the reviews have been good, so I think it's okay. Let's just hope that I haven't needed to do that. All the reviews are coming in really well, so I'm very happy with that. I couldn't be more pleased with it. It's been really amazing. But yes, I believe that is all the questions. Thank you to Hannah Palmer for tagging me, because I watched a video and she tagged everyone that watched the video. So if you're watching this video, I'll tag you. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.